Today in the Pipeline vlog, I've read a lot of Franco-Belgian comic books this year. I'm going to give you the top 5 you can start with right now. As I record this video, I've reviewed 56 different albums of Franco-Belgian comic books. And at this point, I've read probably 65 of them overall, just for this year alone. And some people have asked me recently, where should they start? What's a good place to begin their journey with Franco-Belgian comics? And you can always recommend the classics. I would go with, say, an Asterix or a Lucky Luke, maybe a Largo Winch. Others are more prone to the Tintin kind of thing, and that's fine. We're not going to rehash the Asterix versus Tintin debates here. But I'm going to cover some of the books I've just discovered this year that are all available for digital download from Comixology or Isneo.com. So here they are, the 5 books in no particular order that I've discovered this year that I think would be a worthy place to start reading one. Number 1, which probably will surprise none of you, is Ken Games. It lasted 4 volumes. It's well constructed. It's an action-adventure tale. It's got some interweaving plots going on. The main story takes place over 3 albums, and there is a 4th one. I don't know if Comixology has that 4th one yet, but Isneo.com does, so get it there if you need to. It's beautifully drawn. It's just a great book, and I think it was a great way I started off the year by discovering that one. Number 2, a more recent addition, is The Campbells by Jose Luis Muniera. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It's the tale of a pirate father and his 2 kids who, after the death of his wife, retired from pirating and is trying to raise his kids as best he can, but no doubt will get involved in some messy troubles along the way. This one is comedic. It does have some action-adventure bits. Obviously, there are pirates involved. Of the 2 volumes I've read so far, we can start to see some of the background story going on of who's related to who and how and what's gone on in the past that's brought everybody to this point. 3rd volume just came out a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to be reading that next, and no doubt you'll see a review sometime in the month of August for that. And a 4th volume is actually on the way this fall, while the 5th volume is being worked on. So good news, we'll have lots more Campbells to go as time goes on. Number 3, Back to Basics. This is written by Manu Larsenet and drawn by Jean-Yves Ferry. I'm sorry, I went really super French on that. Jean-Yves Ferry? Jean-Yves Ferry? However you pronounce it, I'm not sure. I mean, you think it's bad being a podcaster these days, trying to pronounce all the North American comic artist names? Try doing it in a different language, folks. It's a whole nother layer of complexity. You almost have to go to YouTube to find a native French speaker speaking the names, and I don't always remember to do that before I record these videos, so here we are. Back to Basics is Manu Larsenet's story of his move to the countryside, moving out of Paris and into a smaller, like a farmhouse basically, in a small, crazy town populated by locals that are a little weird. It's sort of a comic strip-like format. Each page is 2 Sunday strips, if you will. Drawn, again, by Ferry, who does a great job with a more cartoony style. It's just a lot of fun. Over the course of the 4 or 5 books in the series, he gets used to locals, he befriends them, he has a child, the whole 9 yards. It's pretty good. Number 4 is Ekho, which is up to its 6th volume now. That's another Christophe Arlston book, drawn by Alessandro Barbucci, who you may remember from Skydoll that Marvel published a few years back. So yes, you do get a little bit of, shall we say, good girl art in there, but it's generally speaking a fun adventure book. A man and a woman get transported to another version of Earth, and from there, they have to figure out how to survive, maybe someday get out of that world. Doesn't look like it's going to happen, but each book takes place in a different city. You've had one in New York, you've had one in Paris. The most recent one that just came out, I believe, is set in New Orleans. So it's an interesting book. It looks great. I mean, the art on it is stunningly gorgeous, and Arlston's story is good enough to keep things going, and it's fun to read. This one will take you a little time to get through because you'll stop to look at the art a lot, but a fun read nonetheless. And number 5, a little bit different. This is actually more of an original graphic novel. It's all in one book. It's called Clara. It's done almost in a children's storybook style, the art is at least, but it's still a sequential storybook. It's about a little girl whose mother dies and how she gets over that death and how she copes, with the help in part of a stuffed animal that her mother gave her. It's super sweet. It's a tearjerker. It's a heartbreaker. It's still a good comic book, and one worth reading that I think you might like as well. It's a little different from the other choices, but that's part of this. The great part of Franco-Belgian comics. They're all over the map, and you can find something for everyone in a different style. So that's it for now. Don't forget to subscribe below, of course, and follow me on all the social media you'll see coming up next. Generally speaking, just look for Pipeline Comics. I almost forgot to take off my sunglasses before recording this video, so I'm going to save this look for when I review a Joe Casey book.